Good morning, everybody. Let's take a look at our trade plan here. I think it's pretty much the same as I put out last night. We said holding above 94, which is a break of that P-shape value high. We are looking for 607 and 632. If it holds below 94, you are still rotating back down to 50 and then back down to 32 as well. Basically targeting the lower tail of that P shape. We do have a couple of back-to-back lower tails that have not been retested. So right now we just have a micro pullback of that P shape, not really showing a directional bias for now. Okay, same story for NASDAQ here, showing that micro pullback, probably slightly more bearish than ES, kind of hovering towards the low there. If it stays below 990, just keep an eye on 729, which we could probably lower to that rollover level, which would be around 688. And then we'll go down to 470. If it stays below, let's actually update this a little bit. Let's say 729, because it's a little bit more bearish on NQ here. So below 729, look for that 88 and then 470. And then above that, you rotate back to 990 and then possibly a breakout into 50 and then 315. Just showing a little bit more of that bearish pressure on NQ, kind of pushing towards that value low. Yeah, for the open, we're really just looking for those rotations until we have a very clear break out of that balance. So once again, they are not in alignment according to VWAP here. We are trading well above VWAP on ES. We had a very nice bull flag into VWAP on the pre-market there. That's been happening quite a lot. If you guys are trading pre-market, you really need to watch VWAP. It has been giving you some beautiful trades on the pre-market hours, especially around like the London hours. Yeah, right here. Look at this. Just beautiful bear flag into VWAP trades. So keep an eye on that if you guys are trading pre-market. But yeah, right now we are trading well above VWAP on ES, and now we are starting to break VWAP on NASDAQ to try to follow that move on ES. So a little bit more bullish bias on the S&P. Yeah, it looks like if you guys are trading pre-market anywhere from like the London hours around like 3 a.m. Eastern to like 8 a.m. Eastern, you really need to hard focus on VWAP. It has been giving some fantastic trades damn near to the tick, failing or bouncing off VWAP. Not just once, but like 3 times. It's giving you like 2 to 4 trades like every morning. All right, let me post that trade plan on YouTube for you guys here. All right, here's that trade plan. By the way, if you guys have not, be sure to check out the new shorts that we put out. The YouTube algorithm is like really dying on those shorts. It's like barely pushing them. It's kind of doing what it did to me last year, where it's like not even putting them out. So if you guys do want to see those, be sure to check them out on my channel. And if you guys could, just hit that like button on them and maybe leave a comment or something. Help the algorithm out. Last year we stopped putting out the shorts because the YouTube algorithm like literally just died. It just stopped sending them out at all. It was just a waste of time. We're not there just yet, but it is starting to get there on the shorts, unfortunately. The YouTube game is a very fickle game. Keep an eye on that upper level here around 94. We are fighting over that level. If they hold above that, they are trying to break balance. All right, what's going on here with the market? What's moving us? Big move on Facebook. Was there a headline on that? I didn't see anything on Facebook. Finance is pretty green. Microsoft pretty green. It looks like the old guard, the big companies, are pushing instead of the semiconductors. Dollar's pretty flat. Yields are pretty flat. We had a very strong reaction to that 30-year yield yesterday. Zuckerberg is out of Facebook. Is that the headline? Is he stepping down as CEO or something? I did not see that. I need to check on that for sure. You think so? Gotcha. Yeah, I'll take a look. Let me see if my bot can find the headlines. Little bit of exhaustion up here above 600, trying to break balance, but not finding too many buyers on the secondary break. And here is the rejection from that exhaustion, pulling back into the trail and the 24. A lot of bearish delta on NASDAQ. You are losing VWAP immediately. Keep an eye on VWAP around 85 here on ES. Okay, sorry, I was looking up something. So keep an eye on this pullback into VWAP here. We are in a little bit of a bear flag into the daily VWAP, but the daily VWAP is very fresh. So that data is not super reliable. Right now, we basically have an exhaustion pulling us back into value. We're trying to get back into that rotation back below 94, which you can see is the key level here. We keep fighting with that 94. Yeah, Red, I didn't see anything about that. I don't think that's the headline. I'm not sure where they're getting that Zuckerberg is stepping down. The headlines that I found were from their AI model, which these are actually kind of old headlines. This was happening earlier this week. They were doing a kind of a multi-model program that they're selling. It's called Muse Spark. They're trying to basically create like an enterprise model for other businesses that is cheaper to use than people going directly to these other AI models. Yeah, I didn't see anything about Zuckerberg, so I'm not sure what that channel they are hearing from is talking about. And I also don't know why that would be very bullish, even if he did step down. Whether you like the guy or not, the stock clearly likes the guy. The stock has done very well under Zuckerberg. It's not one of those headlines where like the company is doing terrible and then they say like, oh, our CEO's stepping down because they're doing so bad, we're getting a new one. And then the stock does like really well. The stock would probably do terrible if Zuckerberg said he was stepping down. I mean, you can just look at the stock under Zuckerberg. It's not like it's doing bad, right? It's up 800% since the bottom in 22. It's ridiculous. All right, sorry for the delay. Good morning, everybody. What's going on, AT, Patriot, Asparagus, Scott, Luis, Typhoon, Banana, Future, Morris. Good morning, Nike, Scott, Lumir, Jay, Larry, LDT, Greg, Peter, ATF, Roman. Good morning, Adam. Good morning, Lulu. Good morning, Roma. Good morning, Flory. Tamer, Abby, Ryder, Criso, Stream, Fernando. Good morning, Faraj, Peter. Good morning, eBay, Tom, Jay, Nefario, Dawn. Good morning, TK. Good morning, Bella, Joan, Carini, Jay. Good morning, Rocket. Good morning, Linus, Ray, and Big. Appreciate you guys being here. By the way, guys, Apex did extend their 90% off sale, and they also have a big discount on the activation fees. If you guys use code BREW for any of those, just hold on to those receipts. I'll get them from you at the end of the month for our raffle. What is today? Today's the 10th. 1 second. Let me finish this first. So you have 3 days left. This code expires for Addis on Monday, I believe, the 13th. So I think you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If you guys want to get Addis with that 10% off, it is Brew 10. If you guys purchase the annual, you get 1 month of Discord. Just send me a receipt to my email letting me know you use the code. If you purchase the lifetime, you get 3 months of Discord as a little bonus. Just send me the receipt to my email. But you have until Monday. Code is Brew10 on that. Not to get confused with the Apex code. The Apex code is just Brew. If you guys are trying to tie your Apex accounts into Addis, you have to get the Rhythmic accounts. So if you buy the Rhythmic accounts on Addis, or sorry, excuse me, Apex, you can just use that same exact login on Addis. You're currently looking at an Apex account right now. Okay, keep an eye on that 94 level. If we stay above that, we are looking to break balance. We're already kind of hitting that first target at 607. The next breakout target is 632. NASDAQ was a bit more bearish, so we're still just kind of rotating on NASDAQ. Going back to 990 and then 50. Want to chuck MU, Anthony? Hey, welcome, Jay. Glad you found the channel. What was the exhaustion? It's kind of hard to see now because it's in hindsight. But the first time we pushed up, you had a very weak tail. The tail was extremely low value, and that's what caused that secondary pullback. So the volume was falling off, the delta was falling off very quickly, and then we fell back into VWAP. Second attempt, we bounced off VWAP. But yeah, not as easy to see now because we've already bounced again. Keep an eye on that 990 level on NASDAQ here. That is the break of balance level. It stays above that, we're trying to break out. This is a 30-minute. You can see the watermark in the top left. I was thinking about something for the shorts, and I was going to run it by you guys. What do you think about this? I was thinking because I don't have any uploads on the weekend, right now it's just shorts. I don't have like any streams or anything. I was thinking about moving the shorts to just the weekend. So like 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, instead of spreading them out throughout the week. What do you guys think about that? Doing like a morning one on Saturday and then like maybe an afternoon one, and then doing a morning and afternoon on Sunday. And that'll kind of fill in the gap of like me not streaming on the weekends. I'll have to see if that makes it better or worse for my my buddy who does my editing. Be like the weekend homework, basically. Right now I'm doing 1 Tuesday, 1 Thursday, 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday. You think I should just enjoy my weekends? Well, it's no extra work for me. It's just an upload schedule. I'm not making the shorts on the weekend. The shorts are already made. The shorts are already made. It's just a difference in when I upload them and whatever's easier for my editor to work on. But he puts out 4 a week, basically no matter what. He just works on them in his free time. Yeah, Flory, that's kind of what I've noticed is like the release schedule on the Tuesday, Thursday is a little bit weird. Because I try to release them at 4 p.m., but that's like the end of the trading day. You're kind of like, I don't really want to. I'm like logging off, right? After 4 p.m., you're kind of done with the market. I think we'll try it for a couple weeks. We'll see how it goes. We won't do it this week. This week we're already doing our normal schedule. But next weekend, weekend after, we'll try the new way. We'll see how it goes. Poor guy. What are you talking about, my friend? It's not like he's doing it for free. I'm paying him. Poor guy making money doing what he wants. That doesn't make sense to me. A little bit of a bear div on the 15-minute, a little bit of a pinch on the 30, and a trap on the 1 hour. So we have a trap on the pre-market here, pulling back into the trail. You have that cupping pattern on the price action away from the trail, and that cupping pattern on the momentum to confirm it. And that was around like 5 a.m. So we're just kind of playing out that bounce on the 1 hour. How do the higher time frames look here? 4 hours still pinching, so still pretty bullish. And daily still kind of undecided, but kind of leaning slightly bullish here. Yeah, speaking of editing, if you guys have any like feedback, always put it in the comments. He's always looking for things he can work on, improve on, or anything like that. If you guys like certain things that he does and you don't like other things, just let him know in the comments. He's pretty new to editing, so he's just trying to get into it. Just trying to give him some work to do. You mean by work? You guys are misunderstanding the short stuff. So, guys, the shorts, it's just things that I talk about on the live stream, right? So I take like little clips from the live stream and turn them into shorts. They're already made. We're not like sitting down on the weekend and like making these things. They're just clips from the live streams that are taken out, and then he works on them throughout the week in his free time whenever he wants to. No, I'm not looking for a video editor. If he wasn't doing them, I would just be posting the clips like basically unedited. Like I said, I'm just trying to help my friend out, give him some work to do. He wants to get into editing. So I give him some things to edit so he can work on his skills, and I pay him for his time. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? Good morning. Yeah, it's probably funny, Daniel, when you're like doom scrolling and then you just randomly get one of my shorts and it's like completely the opposite. Very slow, like mundane teaching short. You know what? I've been pushing this off. Let me just do this really quick. How do I break these easily? Let's just pull this out. Oh, thankfully I didn't crash my system. Here's the heat map. Not letting me show it. There it is. But that's the level 1 heat map. I don't have level 2 right now. I just have the bubbles. But I wasn't showing that because it used to crash the system. Why can't I pull this out? Can I pull this out? There we go. I should have seen where that was before I pulled it out. Let me double check here. Okay, it was about at the top of the line here. All right, sorry. The reason I'm doing this is because TradingView doesn't let you pin things to the screen. So every time I click on that screen, it like clicks away from it. All right, so now I'll bring this back, but we will just have this hidden for now. We'll just minimize that for now. Okay, there we go. So now I can click on this and not have to worry about this being broken. I'm not leaving stream on anymore. That was just for a couple days so you guys could watch the Momo indicators. That's not a normal thing. It's just a special occasion. I was doing that for about a week so you guys could get some screen time on the indicators. We'll probably do that again later on, but I don't like managing both streams in the afternoon. It's kind of a pain. So I won't be leaving that on anymore for the time being. So just the afternoon streams in the Discord, the normal streams. Good morning, Viking. No, Apex is not tied to Addis in any way. I'm just a middleman. I just work with both of them. They don't work together at the moment. So you're just basically buying the Apex account and then using your Apex login for your Addis account. They don't like give you an Addis account when you sign up for Apex. You have to buy Addis separately. Yeah, Zach, I stream Monday through Friday, 9:30 in the morning to about 11:30. And then in Discord, we continue the 11:30 to 4 p.m. Yeah, Viking, let me grab the email for you. There you go, Viking. If you sign up with the Apex code, Viking, just send me your most recent receipt, and then let me know what your TradingView username is, and I'll get you added to the indicators. So what I do is I give you guys 60 days access. If you're still using the code after 60 days and you need an extension, just send me another email, let me know. It's not a big deal. I try to give you guys some extra time if you need help getting funded. And then if you want to, if you do get funded, if you do get payouts, just let me know. I do like keeping track of that stuff. I used to like actually keep track of it. We had like a number we were keeping track of. Once it got above 200, we stopped keeping track of it. But I like to know that people are just using them properly and it's helping them get funded and possibly get payouts. All right, keep an eye on VWAP here. Losing 600, we go back to 89. We are still just stuck in that D-shaped rotation. We are just rotating this micro pullback. Nothing crazy happening right now. It's a pretty wide rotation. Today's rotation is about 100 points on NASDAQ, and then yesterday would be almost 200 points. Today is about 20 points. About 20 points on ES. And we have a slight break of that to the upside, but it is causing a sweep. They don't like that break too much. A little bit of a bear div on the high with that sweep as well. You can see the bear div right here. Oh, that's funny, Daniel. I just read your message. Yeah. Yeah, that can happen. The YouTube algo is pretty good about like the doom scrolling stuff because like you'll click out of the shorts and you'll go to watch like a long form video, and then on your regular timeline with long form videos, they keep throwing shorts up there. So then you're like, oh, that looks cool. Then you click on that, then you start doom scrolling again. They've got a pretty decent algorithm to get you hooked on. Still very one directional for a micro pullback. It should be rotating back downward, but they're not letting it. You have a very strong delta push up. They're constantly putting in higher lows, bouncing off the VWAPs or the EMAs. They are fighting that rotation. A little bit of a rollover here, putting in a lower high after that sweep. Yeah, the shorts live feed doesn't really work for my screen. I'd have to make my screen like way smaller. I don't really talk about my trades too much, Matthew, and that's kind of borderline, like talking about my trades. But what I will say is, as I've said on stream the last couple of weeks, there is a lot of opportunity right now. When the markets are very risky and like there's a lot of volatility, it does go both ways, right? So you have to understand that you can make a lot of money and you can lose a lot of money at the same time, right? They go hand in hand. So when you're in a market like that, you have to be much more selective. So you have to be picking your trades at a, I don't know if I'd say like higher degree. You just have to be more patient, right? You have to be picking the trades that you know in your playbook are very, very good trades because the risk is very high. But if you can hit those trades, like I've been talking about with um my point about cutting your size in half and like doubling your targets and leaving runners and stuff like that. This is the market for that, right? Like you could have those 20-point winners, 30-point winners, 40-point winners. So it's really just all about being very selective and understanding that you need to be widening your trades, widening your stops, widening your targets, and potentially leaving runners for longer than you typically would like. So, long story short, the market is hard, yes, but there's a lot of opportunity. You see why I normally have this on a 4-way screen, which I still do. It's on my other monitor. But I just don't have the space for a 4-way screen for you guys to see. But this is that I click through the time frames very often. And I've designed the indicators to be very readable within a few seconds. Like you don't have to like hyper analyze them. So you can just like click through the time frames and kind of see where the pivots are, see where the momentum is, see which ones are kind of following each other. Yeah, normally, which I do have on my other screen, you would have this on a 4-way screen and then have your, or even more than 4. You could go like 6, 8, whatever, and just have the time frames kind of laid out so you can just scan across them, make it a lot easier. Yeah, Matthew, I wouldn't say there's a really big change right now. You've already seen the market go through cycles of like high liquidity, low liquidity, very high volatility, very low volatility. So this is just another one of those times of very high volatility. It's not like this is like some kind of new market that we've never seen before. This is just what the market does when it's in very low liquidity and high volatility. They typically go hand in hand. But if you've only been trading for like 6 months, 3 months, then you're like, holy shit, this market's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of very, very high volatility, and you've never really seen the other side of it. The market is just very cyclical. It goes through cycles very, very quickly. Well, quickly in a long-term sense, I guess you would say. It still takes months at a time, but in the grand scheme of things, very quickly. It's not taking like 5 years, is what I mean. In the grand scheme of things, it's very quick cycles. Typically like every quarter, every 2 quarters, like semi-annual. You'll kind of have like a new structure of like either very high liquidity, very low liquidity. What sector is moving the market? I would say the last like 2 years or so, we've been in an extremely long one sector kind of moving the market. The semiconductors, the supply chain of the semiconductors, the data centers, all that stuff. The supply chain of that entire ecosystem. That sector has been moving the market. It's had the market in a chokehold for a very long time. That is not typically the case. It's not typically like one small sector is just manhandling the market. But this sector absolutely has been doing that for like 2 years. You could say even like since COVID, but it's been really doing it for the last like year and a half, 2 years. Like it's had an iron grip, like absolute control of the market. It doesn't even matter what the other sectors are doing. The sector I'm talking about is basically this right here. The semiconductors, and then like a lot of manufacturing that goes into the supply chain of semiconductors. And then also utilities and energy. But energy kind of broke away a little bit because of the Iran stuff. But yeah, retail has had like no power, health tech no power, finance no power. The blue chips come back every now and then, like we were seeing Dow Jones. We were seeing Dow Jones do very good for quite a while. It still is, actually. So these companies are doing pretty damn good. Like if you're trading just the Dow sector by itself. But it's not like absolutely controlling the entire market like the S&P and the NASDAQ. Yeah, Dow Jones, like typically more the blue chip companies, the quote unquote safer companies are in Dow Jones. A lot of manufacturing in Dow Jones as well. They've been doing pretty damn good. This is probably one of the largest discrepancies you've seen between the S&P 500 and Dow Jones. Which you can't even really tell when you compare them together. They're not that different. You can see they're very similar. They're almost moving identically. But all this chop that we're seeing right here, we're not really getting that on Dow Jones. You're just going up. So one of our bigger discrepancies that we've seen recently. Keep it on that rotation back down to 82. You're still in that rollover. So here is that rollover I talked about. You have that high right here. You have a sweep of that high and then a lower high. And that sweep also had a bear div, so not a bad confluence there. Started out as a sweep, turned into a rollover, and then you had a bear div to confirm. And here is that sweep if you don't know what I'm talking about. You broke that high, very weak, got exhausted, came back down. So it's like 3 of our patterns that we talk about in one pattern, in one trade. You have the sweep setup, you have the bear div setup, and you have the rollover top. It feels quick when the cycle changes? Yeah, it definitely does, yeah. Morning, Michael. Keep an eye on VWAP here. If you guys are new here and you guys enjoy the stream, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are old watchers and you still like the stream, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys being here. I know we have been getting a lot more new viewers from all the shorts we put out. I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you guys are new here, don't be scared to ask questions. I don't mind answering questions. The only thing I don't answer questions about are like my trades. Like, don't ask me if I'm in a trade. Don't ask me how much money I make. All that shit. There's really only like 2 rules in my chat. Don't talk about politics and don't ask me about my trades. Most of the other stuff is pretty straightforward. Obviously, don't be a dick and all that other stuff. That's just basic internet etiquette. If you guys have any questions about indicators and patterns and stuff like that, don't be scared to ask. Today is just one of those very standard D-shaped rotations, kind of back and forth. Do I track options, flow, and gamma? I used to be really big in options. I was heavily trading options around COVID, like 2020 to 2023-ish. Not heavy in options right now. I do more options on like my side accounts, like my more like investing kind of sector accounts. Not on my like day-to-day trading anymore. And as far as gamma, not a big gamma guy. I used to look at gamma on like big expirations, triple witching, all that stuff. I don't use them like every day like people. That's like the big topic right now. That's what the YouTube algo is like latched onto this gamma stuff. Maybe I should just start putting out gamma shorts. I'll probably blow up on those. But yeah, the algo is just latched onto this gamma stuff. And the way that people use gamma levels, it doesn't contradict, but it kind of overlaps how I use levels with volume profile. So I don't need to use both. You kind of use like one or the other. You use volume profile levels or you use gamma levels. If you use both, there's just kind of too many levels and they kind of contradict or overlap. So it's just really personal preference, and I prefer volume profile. I don't think there's anything wrong with the levels. I don't think they're bad. It's just personal preference. Yeah, we always talk about on stream there's like a flavor of the month or like flavor of the quarter on like what the algorithm and what the Twitter algorithm and the YouTube algorithm are pushing for traders. It always latches on to like one topic, whether it's order flow or volume profile or Elliott wave or gamma levels, right? And the flavor of the last few months has been gamma for sure. All it takes is like one big video to pop off, and the algorithm's like, oh, okay, you guys like that? And then it starts pushing all that stuff. Bouncing off that 5-minute trail here. That rollover top is coming to an end. Gave you a decent amount of points there. Gave you about 15 points. Nearly 20 points, actually. No, sorry, 10 points. Yeah. Nearly 20 from the high. Yeah, that's a big thing with the gamma is like knowing if it's very positive or very negative. If it's going to be more of a one-directional market or more of a pin market. That's another thing that kind of overlaps with volume profile. Like I can look at volume profile and you can see based on like the D shapes or the overlapping value, is it going to be more of a pin market or are we just trending, having those trending days over and over and over again? Those also go hand in hand. This is an incredibly balanced candle. This is nearly textbook for a balanced candle because look at the middle. The middle is a bit of a mix of red and green. And then on the top, it's entirely green. And on the bottom, it's entirely red. And they're both being exhausted. And they're meeting in the middle. That's an absolutely like picture perfect balanced candle. The buyers are winning on the top until they get exhausted. Sellers are winning on the bottom until they get exhausted. And then it comes back. You want a Bowser? Too little range. Yeah, it's because it's in a rotation, but it's, if you look at yesterday, if we compare the rotation to yesterday, it's only like technically a half rotation because you're not allowing it to go down. And that is most definitely a headline. So much for not allowing it to go down. Let's see what that headline is. That is hilarious timing. Just waiting to see what the headline is. It is most definitely a headline. That is not a normal move. Maybe US striking Iran or something like that. Yeah, talk about timing. We might have to make that a short. Okay, so it is statements coming out from Trump. He said that we have agreed to keep the talks going with Iran, but the ceasefire is over. Which we've already known this. This has already been a thing for like a week plus. But I think hearing him like definitively say the ceasefire is over, which, I mean, he already said it before, but I think that's what the market is reacting to. Mostly the bots are reacting to that. But yeah, this is old news. He's already said this. Which is why we're bouncing so aggressively. The bots just nuked it, and now I think like the humans are coming in. So yeah, very much an overreaction, I believe. Very much an overreaction. This is old news. We've already known the ceasefire is over. He had an interview, like I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and the reporter asked him about the ceasefire, and he basically said word for word the ceasefire was over. So that is why the bounce is happening here. What I mean by bots, like the algos, just all the news algos that sell the bad words. Sell the bad. That's what they do, man. They sell the bad words. If you guys traded during the tariff era, it didn't even matter if the tariff headline was a bullish headline. The bots were so locked in on selling every time the word tariff popped up that it would sell even if the tariffs were being like blocked or like pulled back or reduced, like it could be the most bullish tariff headline, but if it said tariff, the bots would do this where they would nuke it and they'd be like, oh shit, guys, hold on, wait a second, that was actually bullish. And it would go back up. No, Apex doesn't have any like definitive news trading rules. It's more so a consistency rule. It's not like directly tied to like news. It's tied to your consistency. Is that trade, like let's say we were in a short here and we were only targeting like 10 points or so, but we got this massive move down because of the headline. If that is messing your consistency up, where most of your trades you only go for 5 or 10 points, but this trade you got 50 points, that might be a problem. So you just have to work on the consistency of it, not caring whether or not it's like a news thing. This would have had massive single prints going back to 87, but they are repairing them for now. Yeah, you just can't make that shit up. Like, the rollover level is so damn strong. So nearly hitting our value low of yesterday, damn near to the tick at 550. And then here is our trade plan level at 688. That is that rollover level. They absolutely love that level. It's the rollover gap from the last contract that we rolled over in June. Yeah, Mauser, we've already talked about SpaceX plenty. You guys know my thoughts on it. It's the same exact thing we see with every single IPO. People are just saying that it's different this time with SpaceX. Like, it's the end of the world that SpaceX is going down. Guys, it is literally almost every single IPO. And I've shown it time and time again for the past, like, 10 years that I've been streaming. And we've been trading this IPO pattern for damn near the entire 10 years. The pattern is the PLTR pattern, which is so hard for me to bring up because we talked about this one for so long and somehow we forgot about it. And somehow we did not trade this. But yeah, this is the pattern. So this is the good version of the pattern. The good version of the pattern is when it kind of blows up after the IPO and then it goes into that accumulation phase where it nukes for a long time and then it accumulates for like a year or two. And then it just slowly starts to go crazy. Now, PLTR, like I said, this is like the max win IPO pattern. It doesn't get much better than PLTR. It doesn't typically look like that. That's just like the absolute max win. Rivian is doing it. So like Rivian's in that pattern. I mean, there's just so many. I'm not going to go through all of them. But we traded it on like American Eagle. They were doing it as well. We traded on Intel, which I don't want to talk about because we sold that way too early. That one was brutal. We bought Intel around the 20s. We sold it around like 32, which is an incredible trade. An incredible trade for like less than a month or two. But then it did that. So I should have kept this in my long term. That was a big mistake on my part. This is my worst trade in probably the last like 5 years. Worst trade as in like I just messed up not holding it for a year. It was actually a really good trade. In hindsight, bad trade. But yeah, that pattern is the same on damn near every single IPO. People just want to say it's different because they don't like SpaceX. It's the same thing I always talk about in trading. People are allowing their bias to break the logic and break the technicals. I don't know if I'll trade SpaceX. I don't know if I'll trade the IPO pattern on that one. It depends on how much it nukes. If it nukes like a lot and it makes the IPO pattern just very, very easy, I will probably trade it. I would probably trade this below 100. If it gets down to like 60 to 80, I would probably trade it. I would not trade this above 100, I don't think. Like for the IPO pattern, I mean. I don't think I would trade the IPO pattern above 100. Like if it starts accumulating at 120, that's not the pattern. That's way too close to the IPO. It has to nuke the... Think about it this way. It has to nuke the IPO so that anybody who was like overly bullish and they bought into the IPO hype, they have to be capitulated. They have to be panic selling. And then it has to accumulate at a level that nobody wants to buy it at. Where like it's not hitting scanners, people are not talking about it, people think it's a dead company, nobody cares about it. That's the level it has to accumulate at. Like I said, it's the exact same thing that happened on PLTR. Nobody gave a shit about this company when it was $8. They thought this company was completely dead. Nobody cared about it. Nobody talked about it. It was dead. That's when you want to be buying, when it's accumulating around that level. But more so when it starts to look more bullish. Maybe there's a big shift in their earnings. Maybe there's a big shift in their technicals. Whatever it is. The big shift in PLTR, it's very obvious. Their earnings were terrible, 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 terrible. Their earnings started getting much better. And then they had a bunch of partnerships with the government, yada, 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 all that bullshit. And then it exploded. That is the IPO pattern. You wait for it to be capitulated. You wait for it to be dead. Nobody cares about it. And then you wait to see that shift. It goes back into what I always talk about with all of my trades. With literally all of my teaching on my patterns and my indicators. It's the shift in momentum. The momentum goes from being completely dead, nobody cares, to now the momentum is starting to fire up again, and people actually want to talk about it, and it's starting to get a lot better. That's when we'll start looking at SpaceX. When people are crying that it's the end of the world, the company's going to zero, it's going bankrupt, nobody likes it, we'll start taking a look at it. Another one that we talked about, which is currently doing that, is Figma. Figma IPO, dead. IPO'd at 85, went up to 140, now it's at 22. And I've been looking at this recently because you have a bull div on the weekly, and you have a nice little bounce off that pivot. It's already up off the low quite a bit. It's already up like 30%. But these companies, these are like investments where you really have to believe in these companies and you have to be willing to take some drawdown. You're not like taking these for like short-term trades, which is the big mess up that I did on Intel. I treated Intel like a short-term trade when I should not have. But going back to the Intel trade, that is why I don't show my trades anymore. I don't like using it as an excuse, but a big reason why I closed Intel is because I was talking about Intel like every single day on stream. I was talking about it in Discord, and I would have felt like an idiot if it came all the way back to our entry when I constantly tell you guys to not let it do that, right? So I had a lot of outside pressure on an Intel trade, where most of my other trades with the IPO pattern, the investing side, I just don't even think about that shit. I just let it run. So that is a big reason why I do not like showing my trades. It's just too much outside pressure, outside forces. I can't just manage the trade the way that I want to manage the trade. It was still a damn good trade. Like I said, we bought around like 20 to 24, whatever it was. We sold in the 30s. We made over 50% in like a month or two. It was an incredible trade. But we could have made like 600% in like what, 6 months? Yeah, Brandon, I actually have a video directly on that. So if you watch my sizing guide on my, let me see if I can find it because it's probably hard to find nowadays. Here you go. Here's a sizing guide on my 50K, for the 50K accounts. Now, I made this a year ago when the accounts were slightly different. They were like legacy accounts. There's a few differences. Like I think the profit goal is slightly different, but sizing wise, it is pretty much the same. That is still how I would size a 50K account. But if you're watching that video and it doesn't look exactly the same as the new accounts, that's why. There's very slight differences. But yeah, basically you start at like 1 to 2 micros and you slowly scale up. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. And that's basically the cap. You don't go above like 5 micros on the 50Ks, especially in this market. I made that guide with high volatility in mind, but even when I made that guide, the volatility wasn't this high. So you might even want to stop at like 4 micros. Yeah, Mouse, the reason I say it's a bad trade is not just the hindsight. The way that I trade these IPO patterns is I always have like a portion of the trade that is more for the short term if it goes crazy in the short term. And I have a portion of the trade, which is usually a much larger portion of the trade, like 60, 40, 70, 30. That is for the long term aspect of the trade. Take Rivian for a great example. So Rivian, we took this trade almost exactly when we took the Intel trade. So Rivian, I think it was around like here, like somewhere around like a year ago, like last July or whenever it was. Same thing here. We took this trade. We had a short-term target for our short-term trade around 20. 20 to 22 to be exact. And we damn near top-ticked it. Beautiful short-term exit. Beautiful. But the remaining portion of our trade, I want to hold on to this for more of the IPO pattern or like the investing side of it, looking for that massive move back to the IPO, back to like 80 or 100 or 120. So if I would have traded it properly on Intel, same exact idea. We took the short-term position, and we would have taken the short-term target around that same level, 30 to 40, but then the long-term would have been the breaks of these highs, right? So it would have been around like at least 80. I don't know if I would have held it till like 120, 140. That would have been holding for capital gains tax. So just holding, or sorry, long-term capital gains tax. So that would have been holding for a minimum of a year. And I like using that as a metric because it helps you lock in the trade. Because you keep reminding yourself, if I just hold on to it for at least a year, I get better tax benefits. So it kind of forces you to hold on to it. But if I was looking at just long-term targets, it would have been around 80. If I'm looking for long-term capital gains, I'd be holding it for at least... When did we take this trade? It was a while ago. It would have actually been right around now, I think. I think this trade was around that, like, July to August of last year. So we're coming up on that long-term capital gains. Yeah, that's a good way to kind of trick yourself into holding onto it for at least a year, is just reminding yourself that you get better tax benefits for doing so. Yeah, Tim, look at, let me grab the site for you. This is the site that I buy all my laptops, which, funny enough, are not even for me. I bought my editor's laptop and my wife a laptop from here. And also the laptop we did for the giveaway last year, I bought from here as well. Let me grab it for you. So this is the site that I use. I am in no way affiliated. They're just a really damn good site. All right, guys, I'm gonna start banning you guys. I've already said it many times about the politics stuff. You guys are getting a little ridiculous. Nefario, I'm giving you a 24-hour. And Jay, I'm just gonna give you like a 15-minute because that one's not that bad. Here's a 10-minute for you. Guys, I do not care if you love Trump or if you hate Trump. I don't give a shit. Don't post about it in my chat. The Trump shit is getting ridiculous. Love or hate the guy, I can't wait for him to be out of office, so shit like that will stop happening. You guys are ridiculous with that shit. And when I say you guys, I mean a very, very small percentage. Most of you guys are awesome. Yeah, back to the laptops, Tim. I do Lenovo, because when I was doing all my research at the time, they had like the top laptops. But just do your research on like which ones are the best nowadays. But I got the Lenovo ones. Yeah, the gaming laptops are definitely more suited to trading. When it says gaming, it just means it has like more powerful parts. And usually they slap on some RGB lighting. Okay, guys, here's that bear flag in the VWAP. We're finally starting to pull away from it. If we stay below 90, you're going back to that prior low. Yeah, that site is really good. I forget what we bought, like the $3,000 laptop for the giveaway last year. It was a really big giveaway. I forgot which one it was. It's probably more expensive nowadays. Their discounts are incredibly good, though. Their prices are actually really good. I'm looking at them right now. Even with the jacked up prices in the computing market right now, they actually still have really good prices. Yeah, I think it was that one. The Legion Pro 7i, the one that's like initially $3,500. I think that's the one that I bought for the giveaway. I think it actually has better parts now, the 5080. I don't think it had a 5080 when I bought it. I think it was a 4080 or a 4090. Yeah, that site you just can't beat that site. That site is incredible. I bought a laptop for my editor. It was at my house in less than 24 hours. I don't think I've ever had something delivered that like wasn't like Amazon like overnight. I don't think I've ever had something delivered that fast. It was like 12 to 16 hours it was at my house. I didn't even pay for like that was normal ass shipping. I didn't pay for anything extra. Maybe they put me in like the expedited shipping on accident. But yeah, incredible site. Like I said, no affiliation whatsoever. Just a customer. BH Photo Video is the site. If you have a micro center near you, they're also very good, but they're very rare. Micro Center is fantastic. Yeah, Olive. That's one good thing about that site is they're pretty damn secure. The packages are pretty good. Yeah, they're on the East Coast, I believe. I think they're in New York, so they're not too far from me. That's probably why it was so fast. I'm around the DC area, so they're pretty close. Yeah, Newegg used to be pretty good. They're not too bad. I think number one is that site I said, BH Photo Video. Number two would probably be Micro Center. The computer that I'm using right now is Micro Center. Micro Center is just very hard to find. They're extremely rare. The biggest thing for computers, if you guys are doing like trading, you need a graphics card that can handle multiple monitors because you want at least like 2 or 3 monitors. So you want a good graphics card, and you want a lot of RAM. Everything in trading is very RAM intensive. All our trading platforms, all the browsers, the brokers, everything that we use is RAM intensive. So you want a lot of RAM. I used to say like 32. 32 is probably okay. I mean, it's if you're doing as much that I'm doing, like streaming and all that extra bullshit, you want 64. If you're just running a couple monitors with a couple of trading platform stuff, 32 is probably fine. If you're doing like work and all the extra bullshit, go to 64. Right now, I am using 42% of my 64 gigs. So I'm using about 30 something gigs. Single print's back to 87 here. But I'm also streaming, I'm running Discord, I have like 4 monitors. Oh, Best Buy will price match B&H? That's not bad. That'd be an insane price match because I haven't seen anybody beat B&H. Their prices are ridiculously good. A lot of Fed statements coming out right now. I think it's is this the Fed report? This is the policy report, so be careful. There's a lot of Fed report stuff coming out right now. This is basically just one gigantic bear flag in the VWAP, and they are still selling VWAP because they're below the EMAs here. So if there's, as long as they're not fighting against those EMAs, that bear flag in the VWAP is trying to go back to that low. Like I said, just keep an eye on those EMAs. We are still below them for now. As long as that's trending downward, it's looking for that prior low. That rotation goes back down to 550 for yesterday. On NASDAQ, that goes back to 729. This is that problem with those long lower tails that are untested back to back. You get a lot of moves like that where the sellers get very strong and they want to target those lows. Obviously, this one was headline related, but still technically, just on the technicals, they're looking for those lows. Those sellers are trying to find that lower value. Looks like oil is still red on the day. Did not care about that headline. Like I said, massive overreaction on that headline. We already knew the ceasefire was over. We've known that for a few days. That's kind of what the pump was on Tuesday. Like Tuesday, Wednesday, that was the ceasefire pump. What was the headline? It was Trump saying that the ceasefire is over, but they're still talking to each other. So negotiations are still continuing, but right now the ceasefire is over. But, like I was just saying, we already knew that. He said that on Monday or Tuesday. It led to the pump on Monday and Tuesday. So today, very much an overreaction. Beautiful bounce off that 1 minute pivot here. That is actually a double pivot. There's a new pivot and there's an old pivot there. Very old pivot. Back from 8 a.m. They really like that level to the tick there. 78.50. Keep an eye on that trail. Okay, breaking the trail here, breaking the EMAs, so that pullback to the prior low is being turned into a higher low here. So higher value being found, a little bit of exhaustion on that low as well. 5-minute trail is 95. Good morning, Philip. Okay, possibly buy pressure from just them realizing that this is an overreaction on the down move, or possibly the Fed policy report, because that came out around the same time as this low as well. Hey, Scott, have a good weekend, man. Yeah, Scrum, there weren't like great trades today. Before the headline, there was a very good trade, and that was about it. This rollover top here was like a three-piece trade where it had a bear div, it had a sweep, and it had a rollover top. So that was a fantastic one. And then obviously you had the headline just completely give you a free win on that trade. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot. There was a little bit of a bear flag here, which obviously ended up coming back. And then if you caught this reversal, there was like a pivot bounce there. There was some shading. There was exhaustion. So it was possible to catch that bottom, but I wouldn't say it's a great trade. So I'd say one great trade and then two, like maybe you caught them. And that's kind of about it. Good morning, Olive. Maybe if you were incredibly fast, which pretty much nobody probably caught that. But there was a bounce off the rollover level on NASDAQ. That would have been a battle against the system to catch that one. Hey, Leslie, have a good weekend. Trap trade 13 minutes in. Oh, like when it was going back up. Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple small moves before it got to the rollover top. The initial balance one, those are extensions. So like in the afternoon, if we're going crazy in one direction, Those are levels you can use as like targets. If you don't have like other targets like tail extensions or value levels or whatever. So it just takes the initial balance and it just extends it. So that's 100%, that's 200%. So these two levels on the 100% and 200% to the downside got hit by that massive headline. Hey, Schwab, have a good weekend, man. You as well, Joseph. Yeah, it's a little bit of a bear div here. It doesn't have a ton of delta up here either. It doesn't look too bad. If it stays below these nodes at 601, it looks a little worse. Okay, a little bit of a bear div, momentum down slightly. The delta's also kind of weak. Keep an eye on that. Trail. If you lose the trail, you're going back to VWAP here. It's almost the same exact move that happened the first time we tried to break out here. They're not finding too many buyers above 600. But all right, guys, on that note, I'm going to call it here. I will be streaming in Discord for the rest of the day. If you guys are not in Discord, enjoy your weekend. I'll be back on Monday. I'm not going to be making those short changes for this weekend, so still just going to have one short tomorrow, one on Sunday. And then next week, we'll do the 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And we'll try that out. So no shorts on Tuesday or Thursday of next week. We'll put them all on the weekend. Apex extended their 90% off, so if you guys want to use code BREW, you can get 90% off. They also made the activation fees way cheaper for this promotion. Oh yeah, one more thing, Addis. This is your last weekend for the Addis code. So this code will expire on Monday. So if you do want to get Addis with 10% off, you can use code BREW10. If you do purchase an annual or lifetime plan, here is my email. Just send me the receipt to my email. Let me know you used the code, and I'll get you added to, well, obviously let me know what your Discord name is as well, and I'll get you added to Discord for 1 month if you buy the annual. If you buy the lifetime, I'll get you added for 3 months. Little bonus for the Addis plans. I know they're expensive, so that'll give you a little extra. But all right, guys, enjoy your weekend. Just keep an eye on that trade plan. We are still stuck in that D-shaped rotation. We are slightly bullish. They keep trying to push out to the push above the value high. So if they stay above those value highs, we are trying to extend those upper tails. Like I said, just follow the trade plan. It's the same thing I wrote in the trade plan. But all right, guys, enjoy your weekend. If you guys are in Discord, I'll see you guys there. Peace, everybody.